So again, go back to education. You have got an idea on what education is and what factors are there which influence educational system. Now, we can look at something else related to education. Nothing else but aims of education. See, when you talk about aims of education, actually you cannot talk in a general manner. Because educational aims can be different on the basis of the philosophy of a particular country or society. Yesterday we told that according to the philosophical factors, the aims may be different. We have seen that the aims of education during the Vedic age were entirely different from the aims of education during the Buddhist period. So you can see the difference. And if you think about democracy, then the aims of education in a democratic setup or in a democratic society or in a democratic country, there will be something special. So if you're asked what are the aims of education, sometimes you will not be able to tell it in a general manner. But at the same time, there are some aims of education, some general aims of education, which are considered the aims of education all over the world. Or these aims of education have been regarded as aims of education for thousands of years. So there are some general aims of education. You may be talking about aims of education in different social setups, but at the same time, you will see some general aims of education, and these aims of education you can see wherever you go. So what are these general aims of education? That's my question this beautiful morning, this sunny morning. That is the very simple question towards you. Have you got any idea on that? General aims of education. For what education is given in a general manner. But generally, on what purpose we are giving education? So Mariam B, can you tell me, what do you feel about the general aims of education?
To attain knowledge.
Yes, the first one is attainment of knowledge. So it is knowledge attainment aim. Yeah, knowledge aim. Or it is known as knowledge aim. And this one you can see wherever you go. It's one of the aims of education, of the general aims of education. Knowledge aim. Then Kavya, can you give another general aim of education?
Sir, വ്യക്തിത്വ വികാസത്തിന് ഒരു
Yes, you're right. Personality development aim. Yeah, right. Personality development aim. Then Harida, please tell me some other aim, general aim of education.
Vocational aim.
Yes, vocational aim. Yes, you're right. Vocational aim. So knowledge aim, vocational aim, personality development aim. Nishida, what do you feel? Have you got any other general aim of education?
Social communication interaction.
Also, you can tell that social aim of education. Yeah, social aim of education. Then Nitin Jishnu, have you got any other general aim of education? What do you feel?
സർ നമ്മൾ ഈ വേദകാലത്തേക്കൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് പോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ഈ ആത്മീയമായ കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ
Yeah, so we can tell religious aim or spiritual aim. Yes, religious aim.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Then for moral aim, you can tell so. So first one, knowledge aim, vocational aim, then personality development aim, then social aim, then religious aim. Nandana, have you got any other aim?
Sir, social development, society development, other social aim തന്നെ വരില്ലേ?
Yeah, social aim. Then if there is social aim, something else may be there.
Development of the country എന്ന് വേണേലും പറയാലോ.
Okay, then we can tell that, yeah, development of country. That is also, it can be included in social aim of education. But some people oppose social aim of education and they give more importance to something else rather than the social aim of education. What is it? Prabita, can you tell another aim of education?
Character formation.
Yes, character development aim. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, right. Then Rahul, is there any other aim? Is there any other aim? Rahul, yeah, Rahul. Rahul, are you there?
Sir.
Yeah. Have you got any other aim?
ഇടയ്ക്ക് കട്ടായി പോയി.
Yes, already. No, yeah.
സാറേ എയിംസ് അല്ലേ ചോദിച്ചത്?
Yeah. Now they have given some aims of education, general aims of education: knowledge aim, vocational aim, personality development aim, character development aim, then social aim, then yeah, religious aim.
സാർ നമുക്ക് ഓവറോൾ ഡെവലപ്മെന്റ് ഓഫ് എ പേഴ്സൺ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൂടെ?
Yeah, that is individual aim of education. Yeah, individual aim. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, individual aim is there. Then any other aim from anyone else?
Sir, patriotism is social ഇതിൽ വരും സാറേ?
Yeah, it can be included in social aim. Right. Yes. Then yeah.
Scientific temper, creating scientific temper among the students.
Yeah, creating scientific temper. That means okay, scientific aim. Okay, we can say so scientific aim. Or it can be considered as yeah, we can consider it. So there are some general aims of education. There have been some general aims of education. As we told now, there is knowledge aim, vocational aim, personal character development aim, personality development aim. Then religious aim, individual aim, social aim. And there is something else called leisure aim. Leisure aim. I will tell what leisure aim means. Leisure aim. Then this scientific aim. So all these are different aims of education. And see the first one, knowledge aim. And this aim is the oldest aim of education, attainment of knowledge. Knowledge or knowledge attainment aim. And it is the oldest aim of education. We told when we were talking about Vedic education that they gave more importance to knowledge. The age, the era itself was known as Vedic age, that is age of knowledge. And most of the ancient educational systems were giving more importance to knowledge. And if you look at different ancient educational systems, you'll see that they were getting education not just for getting a vocation or job. They were not keeping any sort of economic benefit by getting education. They were getting education just for becoming scholars. They were getting education just for having thorough knowledge on different aspects of life. And you can see different individuals in the history or in the legends who had got unprecedented knowledge. Or we call them something like Sakala Kala Vallabha, all in one personalities. Look at Arjuna, and he's known as all in one. He's Sakala Kala Vallabha. Because he got wonderful skills in different war-related activities. So they were getting education for expanding their space of knowledge. And still, this knowledge aim is there. But the matter is that whether it has got that much importance or not. According to Swami Vivekananda, knowledge is life and ignorance death. Knowledge is life and ignorance death. That means if you haven't got any knowledge, actually, you are a living dead body. Yeah. According to Swami Vivekananda, if you haven't got any knowledge, if you are ignorant, if you are a person with no knowledge, then actually you are not living here, but you are a living dead body. So knowledge is the oldest aim of education. And knowledge is not mere ideas on some aspects of life. Knowledge is deep ideas. Knowledge, if you tell that I have got knowledge on some aspect, that you should be able to answer any type of questions related to that particular aspect. That is knowledge. So the first aim of education is knowledge aim, and it is the oldest aim of education. And see, later we will be discussing modern aims of education and traditional aims of education. So you have to keep all these points in your mind. Yeah, right. Whether there is modern aim, whether there is traditional aim. How can we call some aims of education traditional aims, and how can we call some other aims of education as modern aims of education? Or whether these modern aims of education were not there during the ancient times, and whether the ancient aims of education, the traditional aims of education are not there now. These are some questions which you have to keep in your mind, okay? Because it will be useful for you during the later session of this discussion. So knowledge aim. And the second aim is vocational aim. And this aim is also known as bread and butter aim. Or why it is bread and butter aim? Hanan, why it is known as bread and butter aim?
Maybe because through this aim we are able to gain the skills of vocation or doing an occupation, like to be able to have the provisions of making money for food.
Yeah, yes, to get some job. So actually, what is this phrase? What does this phrase mean? Bread and butter. What do you mean by this bread and butter in English language?
I realize that.
Yes, all very well. Then your answer is correct. Actually, bread and butter aim is something that we are getting education, or we aim at getting a job, because we told that in our definition. In my definition, I told you that education is the process of the modification of the behavior of an individual to enable him to lead a meaningful life in a society. So if you have to lead a meaningful life in your society, sometimes you may be with a job. You should get a better status in the society. It's all right. Then can anyone else give me the meaning of bread and butter? What do you mean by bread and butter?
Livelihood.
Yes, livelihood. Yes, you're right. Can you give me the correct translation of that one in Malayalam? We always tell.
Upajivana margam.
Yeah, it's Upajivana margam. Yeah, it's Upajivana margam. Yeah. Then something else we always tell. For example, one day I told the computer service person who always comes to our college for the maintenance work of computer lab and some other systems in our college. And once I told him, Ashraf, I'm going to learn computer software because we always need you. And if I myself learn computer software, something related to software applications and formatting, then installing and such things, then it will be more useful for us because we always need you. Then he just told me something. Can you guess?
കഞ്ഞികുടി മുട്ടിക്കരുതെന്നായിരിക്കും അല്ലേ?
എന്റെ കഞ്ഞികുടി മുട്ടിക്കരുത്, എന്റെ അന്നം മുട്ടിക്കരുത്. Yeah, we tell annam. That is what is bread and butter. Actually, bread and butter is the most basic food items of English people. So in their culture, for telling about livelihood, they use bread and butter. In our culture, we use annam, kanni. Yeah. So that means this bread and butter aims means we are getting education just for gaining our kanni or just for gaining our annam. Kanni എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ വെറും കഞ്ഞിയാകരുത് ആ ഉദ്ദേശത്തിലല്ല, because kanni or this annam is the most important food item of our state. So we tell annam. So if you tell it in annam നേടുക എന്ന ലക്ഷ്യം. That is bread and butter aim. And this aim is something important because we cannot neglect this one. Even if you want to worship your God, you should get some help. If you are dead, how can you worship your God? If you're weak, how can you worship your God? Some people tell that I am not interested in anything in this world. I only interested in worshiping God. That is not right, because if you want to worship your God, you should get health, and for getting health, you should have some food, and for having food, you should have some work or job. Yeah, right. So this is bread and butter aim, and this aim is there. This aim is there, or this aim has been there From the very beginning, you just think about Vedic age and you know that one of the 4 Purusharthas of Vedic age was what? What? After Dharma? After Dharma? What was the second Purushartha?
Artha.
Artha. Artha means material wealth.
Worldly things.
Yeah, worldly things. So if you have to get Artha, you should get some work. Yeah. So it has been one of the most important aims of education from the very beginning of the time. But you can tell, then what is the difference? Yeah. Can it be considered as the modern aim, or can it be considered as the traditional aim? Or how can you tell that it's a modern aim or something like that? Okay, we can come to that discussion during the later session of this class. So the first one is knowledge aim, and the second one is vocational aim, or bread and butter aim, or getting a vocation for making our life more meaningful, making our life more, getting a better status in the society. So this is it. Then comes character development. And you know character. I told you the difference between character and personality. Character is something like inside and outside. So some people believe that you have to make the secret life and the public life of a person pure, good, wonderful, by giving education. And personality development is the peripheral appearance of a person, or the peripheral behavior of the person, or the external behavior of a person. And that is what we are doing nowadays. Actually, you are practicing some communication skill, and you are practicing some smile, you are practicing some actions, you are practicing some facial expressions, just for creating an impression in the minds of the man or people who are interviewing you. So you are getting some tips for making your personality good before the people who are interviewing you, or having some behavioral patterns just for getting some benefits. That is personality. As I thought, we are giving personality training classes to salespersons at textile showrooms, at some supermarkets. Yeah. So personality is the outward appearance. And some people believe that education aim. So it is a general aim of education, personality development aim and character development aim. And later you can think whether character development aim is a modern aim or traditional aim, or whether personality development aim is a modern aim or traditional aim. But these are some aims of education. These are among the different general aims of education. I'm sorry, after 10 minutes, we have to leave this meeting and restart another meeting, because this is Zoom and we have got only 40 minutes. I'm sorry. So I think you have got the idea. Okay, character development aim and personality development aim. And for personality development, actually we are giving some tips for creating some impression in the minds of others by having some external look, so having some external behavioral patterns. But character is making a person keep a very good life, even in his secret as well as public life, in his personal as well as public life, or in his private as well as public life. Because when you smile to a person, you should smile with your heart, not mere with your lips or face. That's the difference between character and personality. Then individual aim and social aim. Some people believe that, what is the difference between individual and social aim? Rigid, what do you feel? Do you see any difference between this individual aim and social aim? Yes, Rigid.
Sir,
സോഷ്യൽ എയിം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ സോഷ്യൽ വാല്യൂസ് കുട്ടികൾക്ക് പകർന്നു കൊടുക്കാന്നുള്ളത്. ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ എയിം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഒരു വ്യക്തിയിലുള്ള പൊട്ടൻഷ്യാലിറ്റീസിനെയൊക്കെ ഉയർത്തിക്കൊണ്ട്
all round development of an individual. And the matter is that some people believe that education should give more importance to society rather than to individuals. That means sometimes you should sacrifice your individual interests for the welfare of the society. According to the propagators of social aim of education, according to those people who promote social aim of education, you should train the students, you should train the youngsters able, or you should make them able to sacrifice their personal interest. They should be ready to follow the rules and regulations of the society, even they feel that there is something against their individual interests. So creating welfare society. You will see all these things later. According to idealism, the most important aim of education is welfare, creation of the welfare society. And for creating the welfare society, you should get some ideal citizens. And for creating ideal citizens, you should give some moral instructions. You should not give more freedom, because if you give more freedom, then there's a chance for breaking the discipline. So all these things we will discuss later. So according to those who promote social aim of education, society should be given more preference, and individuals should be trained to follow some rules and regulations of the society, even though they feel that such rules and regulations break their individual freedom. But according to individualists, those who believe that individual aim should be given more preference, there is no society without individuals. And there is no need for sacrificing the individual interest for the sake of society. Individual freedom is more important. Individual liberty is more important. So the most important aim of education should be overall development of individual, not social development. There is no need for sacrificing one's own interest. Just like naturalists tell, Rousseau tell, individual pleasure, material pleasure is more important than social welfare. So some people promote individual aim of education. Then what do you think? Sneta, what do you think? Whether we have to select social aim or whether we have to select individual aim? Sneta. Sneta, are you there? सोते क्या स्नेहा यहाँ नहीं.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Snehda, what do you feel? Yeah, yes, Snehda, बोलिए. Tell, what do you feel? Whether individual aim is important or whether social aim is important. Some people tell that individual aim is important, and some other people tell that social aim is important. What do you feel?
രണ്ടും ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് തന്നെയാണ് സർ.
So you feel that, yes, tell me. Yes, tell me.
രണ്ടും നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമുള്ളത് തന്നെയാണ് സർ. രണ്ടും ഇമ്പോർട്ടന്റ് ആണെന്നാണ് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നത്.
Yeah, according to Snehda, both are important. Because society is created by individuals. If there are no individuals, there is no society. And man is a social animal, and sometimes man has to adjust with others. We have to reduce some of our liberties. Sometimes we may have to sacrifice some of our rights for the interest of the society. And this aim also is there, and that is known as integrated aim. Some people believe that, don't think that social aim is more important than individual aims. The society should give importance to the individual rights too. And individuals should not argue that we have got absolute freedom, so we will do anything we want. We are not ready to accept the social norms and regulations, but there should be an adjustment. So education should give individual freedom. Education should provide opportunities for individual development. At the same time, education should make them aware of the social development. Education should make them aware that they are a part of society, and man is a social animal. So sometimes they may have to sacrifice some of their liberties for the smooth running of the society. So this is there. Yeah, right. So knowledge aim, vocational aim, then character development aim, personality development aim, individual aim, social aim, and integrated aim. I think we have got only 1 more minute, so I may just stop here, then I will be back. Now it is 10:13. So I may give you 7 minutes of interval. You can come back at 10:20, right? Right?
Okay, sir.
Okay.